But this isn't about football per se, it's about football club ownership and how it has been changed and affected, and how people like Eddie Howe and Thomas Tuchel and Pep Guardiola have enjoyed the benefits and enjoy the benefits of the football ownership model that's now being put into question. The difficulty for these guys is that the Premier League is the gateway and the controller of who owns these football clubs and how these football clubs are owned. You know, Eddie Howe can easily answer these questions. What people are saying is, well, what do you want him to say? And I'm in the camp, what do you want him to say? What do we want him to say? Because
what should he say?
How many people would turn around that are the chief executive of Jaguar Land Rover, which is part owned by Saudi state, and say, well, actually, I think it's atrocious what's going over on in Saudi? How many people that work for Twitter or Uber and Snapchat, all of these businesses that have huge investments from Saudi, speak out in such a way against the Saudi regime? What he could say, and what I would have him say, is as a member of a civilized society with Western values, I'm against all human rights atrocities. But I don't work for the Saudi state. I work for PIF Investment Fund, which the Premier League has already determined isn't the Saudi state, hence the reasons why they're allowed to own Newcastle. End of discussion. Journalists will come back and say, well, hang on a second, we all know that the Saudi state is PIF. Hang on a second, media, you seem to be quite happy with the adjudication that the Premier League made about the separation of the Saudi state from the PIF fund, and around we go. We all know, everybody that's grown up and can work the dots going backwards to coin an anachronism from the guy that founded Apple, is that the Saudi state own Newcastle United Football Club. But you look across the hypocrisy. We've got media in this country, The Independent and the Evening Standard, that are part owned by Saudi state. So we need to make sure that our hypocrisy knows all bounds. It is very, very difficult for Eddie Howe or for anybody else to answer questions that they're not equipped for. They don't have the intellectual capacity to deal with it because it's not their skill set, it's not their job, it's not their area of expertise.
Well, Tuchel dealt with it.
Tuchel got away from it. He turned around and said, I'm not a politician, I don't want anything to do with this. Why keep asking me? He lost his temper.
Alison Rudd in the Times this morning. Thomas Tuchel was prepared for the difficult questions and trod very well the fine line between how football pales into significance when acknowledging how the sport can bring respite in times of despair.
That's pitting one person against another, because Eddie Howe isn't as adroit and as adept at dealing with it as Thomas Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel blew his stack. He turned around and shouted at journalists last week that I'm not a politician, you have got to stop asking me these questions.
But does Tuchel sound like a guy who's done his homework?
Tuchel then in the next press conference turns around and says there are far more pressing things in the world than the challenges of footballers, because the question led him into how will it affect the players? He said, well, hold on a second, we're privileged. He took it away from the journalists and said, we're privileged. Don't tell me about the challenges that I've got. The world's got challenges. The Ukrainian people have got challenges. I'll drive a 7-seater bus if I have to. I don't care if I'm He took it away. He used his nous. Yeah. And Eddie Howe will use his nous. The challenge is...
But Eddie's flat batting it.
Well, because he doesn't know how to answer the question. He will know how to answer it next time round, because at this moment in time, what we're doing is this wonderful situation where we're not focused on Ukraine anymore. We're now going to go after everybody. Now, we should have thought about this a long time ago. What's happening in the Ukraine is specific to the situation at Chelsea. And because we've now decided, we now want to decide that we're going to go after Chinese owners and Saudi Arabian owners. Well, we should have done that a long time ago. And we should be going after every aspect of business in this country. If we want to deploy that sort of logic, make sure we do it to every business. Make sure every time you log on to Twitter, do realise when you're sending your little tweets out there that it's part funded by Saudi Arabia. When you get into the Savoy Hotel, if you're booking a hotel in London, remember that's owned by Saudi Arabia. Let's make sure that when we're virtue signalling about what other people are doing, and I'm not decrying the human rights atrocities because they do need to be dealt with.
Yeah, but we're focusing on the game and the here and now.
Yeah, and we're not. We're not focusing on the here and now.
Because the Saudi takeover was a high-profile media event.
But that's done. That ship has sailed.
Yeah, of course. But who owns Newcastle United? The Saudis do. And here's Matt, a Liverpool fan.
This dial has turned because of the Ukrainian war. So why were bombs being dropped in Yemen not less important 3 months ago? Why was the Chinese murdering, Uyghur Muslims not important 3 months ago? Oh, the media just turned up now, have they?
No. Those issues that you've described, of course, are important, but they're not on a staple daily diet.
But what's on a stable daily diet?
Ukraine is headline news everywhere, Simon.
So that is what we're talking about then.
Also headline news at the weekend with 81 executions in Saudi Arabia.
So that is what we're talking about.
Which isn't lost on Matt, who's a Liverpool fan. Eddie Howe says, Matt, maybe the manager. So his template answer is, I'm the football manager and it's nothing to do with me. Sorry, Eddie, that's nonsense. Now, Matt says, a Liverpool fan,
what would you
he's
have
happy to take the owner's money, knowing full well the things that the owners are involved in.
Yes.
So he's not free from criticism.
Yes. And absolutely right. And you're happy.
So to an extent, people
are happy to drive Jags and Land Rovers. People are happy to go and bank at HSBC. People are happy. Dons at Oxford are happy to take money from the Saudi Arabian state. And so what we should do, get all the Dons at Oxford and Cambridge to come out, all the academics at London School of Economics that are taking massive donations from the Saudi state, they must come out and talk as well. Why has it got to be some, with due respect, inexperienced, not at the top of the food chain as far as intellect, football manager can do this?
It's in the sports section of the Telegraph. It's in the sports section of the Times. It is a football-related story in that the Saudis own Newcastle United. Indeed. And Eddie's the manager.
And it should have been stopped. If they wanted it stopped, where was the do you know what we saw? Let's have the hypocrisy really ratcheted up a level. We saw the MPs from Newcastle campaigning government to allow the Saudis to buy Newcastle Football Club. We saw the media writing about the unfairness of the Premier League clubbing together with a cartel to stop the ownership of Newcastle. Whoa! Have you got the audacity now to have a moral outrage and turn it on to Newcastle because you don't like what's going on at Chelsea?
Basically, my question to you is this, going into this break. Should Eddie Howe have been more prepared for the question that was coming at Stamford Bridge post-match on Sunday?
Yes, he should. He should have been briefed. He should have been across it. He should have been saying something like I said, which is in a civilised society with Western cultures and Western values, I abhor all human rights atrocities, but I'm a football manager working for a fund which the Premier League has said isn't that Saudi state. End of discussion. Thanks. Next question, please. Yeah, we didn't play very well in the last 5 minutes.
Let's put it out there. Should Eddie have been better prepared on Sunday, knowing the inevitable questions about the Saudi ownership would come along? Should Tuchel be better prepared, knowing that certain uncomfortable issues are going to be raised every time he's in front of a microphone? Or should they just flat back it? Should they just say, no, that is not the field of my expertise, so I'm not going to answer the question?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.